Nobody is comfortable telling you where they messed it up. They want to hide it. They want to delete it like it didn't happen. Most of my mentoring is telling you what it's going to be really like. The things that make you feel like you want to be able, willing to, inviting the risks, you don't respect that same measure of risk when you are really at that moment where you could still say, no, I'm not going to do it. Let me sit still and not do it. So your motivation leads you to the dance. That means you're in front of that chart. You're sitting there, you're watching it. You have your silver bullet in mind. You have your optimal trade entry in mind. You have, whatever else I've ever taught that you've gravitated to as your model. You have your draw on liquidity. You believe it's going to go here or it's going to go there, and you're ready to see it. If it could just give you a fair value gap, you're in there. But then something magical happens. Something magical comes in and changes everything. It's like your perception completely changes, and it becomes sometimes like a language you've never read before, and you're like a deer in headlights. You're paralyzed. You knew what you wanted to do, but now you're in front of the charts and you're watching live practice action and you can't do it. You're waiting for something to appear as a nudge, a little, you're right, now take it. And many of us, when we first start, we call that confirmation. The only thing that it confirms is you sat there too long. That's what it confirms. You sat there too long. Now it's already moved. It would be better for you to wait for some kind of a down close candle in a lower time frame, reach into a fair value gap if you're bullish, and then use that. Don't chase running higher price when you're bullish. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the only thing you're doing is increasing the likelihood of your stop loss needing to be larger than it's necessary to be, or making it harder for you to hold the trade, because you're going to know as soon as you enter it, you're going to be demanding subconsciously that it moves right away in your favor, and you don't want to see any kind of drawdown. Whereas if you're bullish, and this is how I teach, so it overcomes a lot of the built-in fears that are associated with being poorly placed in a trade or chasing price. So if you're bullish, I'm teaching you to buy what? A down close candle, or a candle that's forming a likely down close candle, but it need not close down. It can be trading lower and still have a higher close. But at the time of your entry, if you're bullish, you're waiting for price to go lower into an inefficiency or run below a short-term low to take those stops. So you're going to buy sell stops or buy inefficiency on a buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. You're going to buy that rebalancing to close up and overlap that up close candle that you're seeing as an inefficiency. So you're buying against the grain of price delivery versus impulsively chasing it. In the beginning, because you think as a trader, just like I did, I want to be in a market that has the market going up. Like I want to be in a move that's going up. It's too scary. I'm speaking hypothetically and in retrospect to how it was when I first started. So as a 20-year-old, I was afraid to buy things when it was moving lower. To me, it made no sense. I mean, it literally made no sense whatsoever to go in and try to pick a bottom. That's what I was looking at it as, because I heard my mentor say, you got to avoid trying to pick bottoms. They're like catching falling knives. You have to wait for that dagger to fall, hit the ground, stop quivering, then gingerly go over and pick it up. That's verbatim. That's literally right out of that Ford cassette tape VHS course that he had from 1995. It was ingrained in me, just like the things that I say to you as your mentor. I'm not in the room with you, but you'll see something in the charts and you'll hear my voice saying the very thing that you had a resonation with in a video or a lecture, maybe something in this one today. And you'll hear my voice, you'll know exactly what I said verbatim, because it left an indelible mark on you. It made an impact on you psychologically, so you think differently as a result of it. In the beginning, when you have no real clue what you're doing, no model, you can become very impulsive. But as a new student with a model, with all the right motivation, you still can be impulsive. What does that mean? What does that mean? What's the contrast between what I've already said so far versus someone that now has a model, has all the right mindset, has listened to all the proper mindset from the inner circle trader and how to do this and how to do that. And now we're at the dance now. We're staring at the chart. It's during that 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour. We know that there's going to be a silver bullet. We know that it's likely going to draw to a liquidity pool that's pretty obvious where it's likely to go. But here you are, sitting there looking at price. When you have a model and you have all the proper motivation that led you up to the point where now you've made the decision, you went to sleep the previous day, you woke up with every expectation that you're going to go into this following the plan, following the model, following the rules. You're looking for this setup to form. And now you're here. You're in front of the charts. You're there. And you do what? You act impulsively. You see something that is not your model. Perfect example. I'll give you something. You've done the work. You've done the analysis. You've listened to me talk about what I think the market's going to likely draw to on a higher time frame. You committed to the idea that that's probably what you're going to subscribe to. So you're only going to focus in that direction. And that's the proper mindset. Not that you should be handheld, but that's why I do it. So that way you can keep your premise, your bias, the narrative focused on that time frame draw. You won't be 100%. But now, because you're in front of the charts, subconsciously, you're demanding that you're 100%. Is that practical? Is that realistic? Is that something that anyone could reasonably expect to have? Especially if they're new? No, of course not. But that motivation that carried you to that moment, where now you're in front of the charts, you're ready to do your model, you're ready to pull the trigger. All you have to do is wait for that fair value gap to form, because it's going to be moving up quickly, and it's going to create that little buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, and it's going to form it in a place where it allows you to capture 12 to 15 handles. So that means your minimum criteria for the trade would be met. It's really there, but unfortunately, it's not there yet. And what happens is you start seeing price run. And in your mind, you're thinking, this is going to be one of those times where it's not going to create a fair value gap. And here I am. I did all the work. I got all this stuff drawn on my chart. I have all the lipstick. I have all the motivation. I'm here now. And I know what's going to happen, because Murphy's Law says that whatever can go wrong is going to go wrong, and it's going to run without me. And I'm not going to be able to accept that, because I've done all this preliminary analysis. I've done all this preliminary workup, listening to this guy, Jawbone. I'm all pumped up. I'm ready to go. And here it's running. It just took off 8 handles straight, one shot. It's running. Your mind's going to be tricked by that because you haven't watched price enough. That motivation to do the right things get replaced with impulsiveness, because the lack of experience, the lack of the doing of it, being there, not just simply watching price. That's the first stage. Is tape reading just the first stage. Then you got to do it with a demo and submit to the idea that the rules still have to be applied. But then with live fund trading, or the equivalent thereof, where you can lose something, your funded account, challenge account, your funded account, or your live account, you want to capture money. And the lack of experience that you have, and everybody has that lack in the beginning, and all of you, and I was not exempt from this. I wanted to get through that stage quickly. I wanted to leave it behind me in my rearview mirror. I want to be able to say, yeah, see you later. I ain't never going back to that town again, which is ignorance, neophyteville, beginner. Like, you want to be able to leave the ranks of a newbie. When I'm encouraging you to live there for a little while, because that's going to teach you who you are. And it's going to show you the character flaws that you have, that you're pretending you don't have, that you've been hiding from yourself your entire life. However long you've been on a spinning rock, all of you have character flaws. I don't hide mine. I don't hide it. I tell you where they are. I tell you where my weaknesses are. Because when I was a younger man, I tried to pretend they didn't exist. And they were impediments to me. They held me back. They were the barriers that I hugged. I held on to them. I held on to it like something wrapped in barbed wire. It's not comfortable, but you get used to that uncomfortable state and it becomes normal for you. Like that's why abusive relationships go on. Spouses that, beat their wives because they're weak men. That women train themselves because they have children. They don't want to break that family up. They know what that man's doing to her is not right. But they allow it to go on because it becomes normal for them. And change is a little bit more scary because there begins to bring in more uncertainty. And as humans, we don't like uncertainty. But in this industry, you chose to be in one that is always uncertain. There's nothing 100%. All the things that I have, all the things that I share, my track record, when I pull it out and I point to something before it happens, look around. You've been walking with me now for almost 2 years now publicly. How many things did I call and not happen? Very, very, very small number of that. But how many things were right and correct and where the market went to? You can't reasonably expect to be like that in the beginning. And when you learn from someone, when I was a martial artist, I wanted to be as good as the guy that was teaching me and then better. That's what I wanted. Anything that they did that was impressive, I needed to do it better than them. Why? Because I had this deep ingrained necessity for me to be significant, because while I was growing up in Cardboard City, I was part of what we considered white trash. We lived in low income. And I got in fist fights and stomped the shit out of people that thought they were better than me. I curb stomped people. You know what that is? Where you stomp their ass, you beat them. You drag them over to a curb, you open their mouth up with their teeth on the edge of the curb, and you stomp the back of their head. I've done that before. And the sound that makes, you'll never forget it. Those are things that I've done as a kid with people older than me because they talked down to me. They acted like they were better than me. So what drives me, and still to today, is that deep scar. I was the guy on the other side of the tracks growing up. I didn't come into this world with a silver spoon in my ass. I didn't have that. Everything was a hard thing to do. And it took a lot longer than I wanted it to do. And it was very difficult. I had a lot of opposition around me. People would try to tell me, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to just, amount to the same thing we do. And I went to school and they tried to talk me out of that. And they said, you're not going to get good grades. And I got great grades. Constantly, the enemy constantly will work on you to try to discourage you. And if you're strong enough that you have the motivation that keeps you going, when you're finally there, he's really going to try, because you've done it. You finally climbed to that moment where now you're going to see the proof. You're going to finally get that testimony that you can hold on to and say, nobody can take this from me. And some of you are going to discover that motivation that got you there, which everybody needs it. I'm not trying to discourage that's not a good thing. It is a good thing. But there's an event, there's a phenomenon that takes place where once you're there, you can't handle the pressure and you throw out all the rules. You don't wait for the setup. You think that it's going to be stripped from you. You worked so hard to get to this moment. Now here's your first shot, the first shot to use the information that you've been studying. Now you can make gainful profits if it's correctly done, but you don't have the experience yet to lean on. And you see a sudden quick movement, which really isn't that much. Nothing's changed in the trade setup, but in your mind, because you're so keyed up, that motivation, you're hopped up. You're ready to go. You're that guy that all your friends are around. Fight, fight, fight. When if they weren't there, you'd probably shake hands with the guy and say, you know what? Yeah, I apologize, man. This got out of hand. just forgive me for saying whatever I said or did whatever I did to you. You can't do that now because they've incited that rage. You've become lustful for blood. You need to do this now. And something happens where that motivation becomes impulse. And you don't use your model and you press the button. And as soon as that button is pressed, you're regretting it. Because now you just entered the uncertainty with no plan, no entry, no PDRA. You chase the price. And everything you've heard me say comes rushing into your brain and you're thinking, oh man, this is that thing he talked about. Now that trade seems like it's going to choke the life out of you. Maybe you start hyperventilating. You don't realize it yet. Until you start feeling your fingers and your hands and your arms start tingling. All of a sudden you start feeling your heart palpitate. Feels like you can't breathe. Doesn't feel like there's any air in the room. Why is it so hard to breathe? That's anxiety. Now you're faint. You're feeling the effects of the adrenaline in your body, and you're standing still. It's like a Ferrari in neutral, running with the accelerating pedal to the floor. It's not good for the engine. And now you're worrying about what you're feeling bodily. And then cortisol is going to release. And that hormone makes you feel like you're going to die. Now, how can you be watching price, managing it, and what you should be doing, focusing on your model, if you think you're having a stroke or a heart attack or about to pass out or throw up? I've been there. I've been there, and I've been there while driving a truck over the Key Bridge in high winds, panicking because I'm watching my co-track tell me that there's absolutely nothing I can do and I'm nowhere near a payphone to get out. You can't understand that. You don't understand that because you're so spoiled with the information and technology we have today where we can just press a button, get in, get out. Seconds. Be on the other side of a bridge and then someone goes and has a typical thing that anybody else would have normally while they're doing construction on the bridge. You only have one lane, and then their engine dies and you're on a trade. You can't get out and you can't move, and you lose your account that day because you thought you were smart enough not to use a stop loss. And Copper said, not today. That's the stuff that I lived through. That I did that stuff. So there's a lot of people out there that'll tell you, this is where I made this much money. This is where I made this much money. This is where I made that much money. I did this. I did that. I did this. Nobody is comfortable telling you where they messed it up. They want to hide it. They want to delete it like it didn't happen. Most of my mentoring is telling you what it's going to be really like. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't pretend that I didn't come from humble beginnings where it was very hard, next to impossible, and I quit dozens of times. That's what I call it.
Anything you could think of, if you could actually think of it, it means you can do it, right? Does that make?
Hey yo, what up, it's your boy. We back with another banger. Yeah man, how are you guys? Mic check 1 2 3 4. Yeah man. All right, so yesterday I was not around. To very sharp from the finale. I was just somewhere yesterday. Wanna see something? I'm not expecting a lot today from the markets because on LCPI. So it's gonna be a chill day today. I mean, I could have just not been on the markets, but 2 days is too much. I'm looking for something on my phone. I'm looking for something on my phone. 7 to 8:30. Otobana ICT's Venom. Okay. Oh hell to the no. H to the Hizo, V to the Hize, Fushizu Manizu, and after stopping me out, and then it goes to my direction. I no man. So took out this high, this took out this high, and then now we're finally going down. Allegedly. Yeah man. I'm even yawning, dog. Yo. Yeah, you see, we took out the highs. Everyone. So taking out the highs is like too much buy side liquidity. If I'm right, we were still going down because this also doesn't make sense. That's what I was saying. I was looking for something. If you're going down, well, for me, the only sense that it makes is the new day opening gap. I mean, it's just the sell side liquidity. It's not as strong. It's not strong as in like this one or this. You see here. Here there's too much. There's too much society. So 10 plus. Before going up, I'd like to see one of these 1, 2, 3 sell side liquidity taken, and for the weekly chart, that weekly order block, this down close candle, I'd love to see it played into, and then we rally up. Because the daily order block was, it's a new one key, like 1, 2, twice before leaving. So amen. What did I do today? Yo, I can't concentrate, yo. I'm exhausted. Nagkuluma ka ulta. I'm busy dozing off here. Yeah, now let me just, I'm not gonna press any button, dog. I'm just going to tape read and see what's what. Plus lower high, higher high. SMT. Pamela, why? going up. US100 yashiyana papa. That is not yet to play. Hey, malume Dao. I wanna ES. Hey. ES is weird, bruh. ES is just it's just a mind, has a mind of its own. That's why Mazatsi, I'm like, you know what? Let me rather look at US100 and US30. Because they are Shianats, you see? Total opposite. This made a higher high of a higher high. This made a higher high, lower high. I wanna see. I want to see you. I want to touch your grace, so I can know your ways. Then I may see your face. I want to see you. I want to see you. Yo, ke tshwaregile mfana. Koprezi wale easy. Calendar for 2026 F1, there's no South Africa. Why? This is racist. Y'all are racists. Come to South Africa. This is what happens before CPI. This is what happens before CPI. Hey man, I'm exhausted. Let me play another ICT video. I don't really have much to say. I'm just, yeah man.
Welcome to the world of Zoe.
How you raise your children has a lasting impression on how they're going to be as adults. And it's a crazy paradigm when you look at the contrast of people that were raised like I was. I grew up in a broken home, dysfunctional, and it was very hard for me to see the pathway in front of me. But I just know I wanted to get out of that. I didn't want to stay in that type of dysfunctional family. And trading seemed like that was the avenue, but I was afraid. I was afraid of doing it. And I needed to be encouraged because I felt like, you know, if I'm telling myself every day at that time that no one's going to believe I'm going to be able to do this, if I'm saying that, and you probably have done this yourself, think about it. Maybe that's where you're at right now. You're thinking, nobody believes in me. Nobody believes I'm going to do this or be successful. And you know what? When you say that to yourself, just like when I said it to myself, that's a true statement. You weren't expecting me to say that, were you? It's actually a true statement. Because if you're saying nobody believes I'm going to do it, you're stating emphatically that you don't believe it either. Because nobody includes you. Think about it. Your subconscious is speaking, and your subconscious is always the truth. That's the part that you guard all the time. That's the part, young men, when you try to meet that young lady and have special time with her. I'm not talking between the sheets. You're trying to impress her and woo her and think, wow, you know, this guy's a really nice guy. I want to be with him. You put on your best clothes, your best cologne. You get your hair done up nice. You make the greatest impression. And you don't want to do anything rude. You don't want to be in any way off-putting to her. Well, you gotta guard all these things, these insecurities that you have. And when you speak those things like, nobody believes I'm going to do this, you need to stop that. Because I held on to that for a long time. I was living nighttime every single day. And you know what happens at nighttime. You dream, you have nightmares, and you have good dreams. And if you're like me, who studied it a lot when I was younger, you could have a lucid dream. A lucid dream is where you actually wake up in your dream and you realize that you're not awake in the physical, and you can do things in your dream that's neat. And one of my favorite things is flying. I'm afraid of heights, but in my dreams I can fly. And there's lots of really good books on lucid dreaming if you want to look at it. I'm not going to try to teach lucid dreaming because I'm not capable of doing it. It's not something you can say, here it is, here's an optimal trade entry, here's a fair value gap. It's not like that. But it's something I journaled for a long time. And all the things that I used to journal prior to that moment, when Shannon said what she said, and that evening, that day sowed it in the annals of the future that I was going to be who I am today. Now, one could say, well, you didn't have a good relationship, you broke up. Yeah, I made a bad choice. I got too emotional about something, insecurities, and we broke up amicably. Like it was not a hateful thing. So how could you say that was a good thing? Well, I believe God placed her in my life at that time to encourage me because I needed it. Much like many of you probably turn to me when I do these motivational elements, where I try to ground you, shake you by your lapels and remind you that this is normal stuff, folks. I'm not exempt to it.
I'm not ashamed to say I went through these types of things either. I'm actually very thankful because recognizing those nightmares that I held on to, I chose to keep putting on that garment of sorrow, that garment of fear. What if I try really, really hard and I fail? That's what I was afraid of before I even told her. Knowing that, I still laid it in her hands and she could have destroyed me. She could have laughed in my face and said, what a crazy idea. You're going to be working like everybody else. And I was expecting that to happen because that's exactly what my family said. That's exactly what my friends said. And we like to think that, our family members, if I tell them what I'm going to do, they're going to encourage me like, yeah, heck yeah, that's the thing. That's it. That's the thing. I can see you doing it. Man, if you do well, could you help me too? That's what you want to hear, isn't it? That's exactly what you want to hear. But you don't ever hear that, do you? You're going to do what? You're going to do what? Hey, Phyllis, listen to this. Come over here. Tell her what you just said. You're going to do what? You're going to push some buttons and money's going to end up in your bank account. What did you just say to me? Come on. That's what happens, isn't it? And if you have not shared what you want to do yet with your family members, don't be surprised. That's what they do to you. It's normal. That's normal. It doesn't feel normal when it happens. It feels personal. It feels like they're kicking dirt in your face. That's exactly what it felt like for me. At a time when I was already beaten up, tore up from the floor up. No direction in life. Feel like I wasted all that time academically and couldn't even land an interview. Resumes going out every single day, not one phone call ever. Now you can say, well, you're a failure. That's a testimony right there. That's a failure right there. You know what I see? I see a door being kept closed because I was never meant to go through it. Hello. That'll preach right there. What I spent so much time from 6th grade on, dreaming of getting a good job, getting my name on a little plate on my desk, maybe having some people underneath me I'm in charge of. That's not me. That was never supposed to be me. As much as I thought it was, just like I thought my first wife was, that was my queen. That was my one time and I'm one and done. Lost my virginity to her and I married her. Just like that. That's the kind of person I am. I didn't want to be a player. I didn't want to run around and see how many times I can get a dip. And we separated and it put me in a state where, well, I guess I'm just like everybody else. And then I womanized and I ran around and I did things with married women. And I have an oldest son as a byproduct of that. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You have all kinds of problems when you do things like that. But that young lady's words of encouragement, I carry them today. And when I talk to you, you think I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to my kids. That's why it feels genuine. That's why it feels like you know me. That's why it feels good when I tell you, I believe in you. I think you're going to do it. Because I believe in my children. I believe that they're going to do this. And all of you know me online. You never shared a meal with me. You never met me at a pub, at a cafe, in passing. But you feel like you know me. You feel like we've been friends for a long, long time. Because when I talk to you sincerely. It's not scripted. I don't even know what I'm going to say next. It just comes out. I let it all flow out evenly. And it's all based on real things I experienced, and adversities. And if I can go through it and come out of it, and I'm not special, folks. I know some of you think I am, like to think should be lifted up on a hero pedestal. I should never be lifted up on a hero pedestal. I have so many frailties, so many insecurities. I could never do what I'm doing right now if you're all standing in front of me. I'm introverted. You would never imagine the same person that talks to you like this. If we were in person, it wouldn't be like that. Why? Because it's deep rooted in my childhood. I was a quiet kid. So quiet, I was afraid to talk out loud because the things I was thinking, I thought I'd be in trouble. You can fill in the blanks on that. So, where am I going with this? Well, how's this applicable to you? Well, when I was young, I had a lot of anxiety. Debilitating anxiety. Fear of performance in life, getting a job. What if I don't make as much money as I want to? What if I don't get the job I want? What if I don't go where I want to go and work for the company I want to work for? And I would wake up with night terrors. You ever had one of them before? You just wake up and you're gasping for air. Now, I was fit as a fiddle back then, so I had no apnea. I had nothing that would be classified as, oh, this sounds like sleep apnea. No, I didn't have any of that. I had crippling anxiety because my mind is supercharged. If you give me an idea and ask me to make this happen, or I have an idea that comes to me now, I can run with that and turn it into a success story. Back then, everything was a nightmare unfolding. Everything was an impossibility. And I made sure of it because I constantly dwelled on, this is probably going to end poorly. I shouldn't even bother doing this. Many times I would have ideas I would write down in my journal. This is what I think I should be trying to do today. And then what would I do? Run the other direction all day long. Never work towards it. Never try to do anything working towards that idea becoming fruitful or coming to pass. That's not procrastination. That's running away from it. There's a difference. See, procrastination is like when I tell you to backtest. When I tell you, you're not going to learn the things I'm teaching you unless you literally go into your charts and backtest them. It doesn't mean go look at what has happened today and say, yeah, well, that was it. No. You got to dig through weeks and months of old news. So if you sit around and procrastinate like that, you're never going to get good at this. What I was doing as a young man was literally running from it. I wasn't just stationary saying, yeah, I'll get around to it eventually. No, I was terrified. Because I couldn't handle another failure. I couldn't accept another defeat. I was at my lowest point. And I guarded that very next thing all the time, expecting to walk through a door and see something like a murder scene. Well, I knew it was going to happen eventually. That was my mentality then. Diametrically opposed to what it is today. Instead of thinking back then,
hey guys, thinking of closing the stream, because really I know I'm not gonna trade. Tomorrow it's CPI, and I don't wanna find myself pressing a button unwillingly. So when I say it like that, ke ra gore even when I see my setup form, I know I'm gonna press the button. So I don't wanna find myself in that trap. So let me rather just leave now when I still can. I don't know, even if it goes, like, even if later on in hindsight I come back and I see gore, it went a particular direction and I would have seen that move. Sorry about that. Yeah, even if nka bona gore, I would have seen a particular move. Man, I don't wanna be caught up in doing things I don't wanna do. That's my chat. Ke mo ke leng teng, wa ntlhaloganya. So plus I'm exhausted, dog. Yo, I was working, I was cleaning, bruv. Yo, my mind is something else. I didn't rest after cleaning, so plus I'm on a program, so it's kind of dragging. So let me rather just listen to my body. Trading is something else, bruv. If my mind is not here, one jiggy to ipona ke stick by. It's seeing that this thing is not going anywhere. So Oh, away guys, away. You can see US 500 and US100 is vying. But still I say I would rather wait for tomorrow. I would rather wait for tomorrow. Let me rather wait for tomorrow. Ay man. Malume daw. Oh, you go. Oh. So. See, this is. Where's my first presented fair value gap? Hey. Let me take these things out, man. No, when you come to the 1 minute, you can see this, you can see, once you see this, 944, then it goes up and then it comes back again and it does this, respecting the CB low, this CB low, this one. That's a signal. Where's the bodies? Hey man. Hey guys, no. I'm actually stretching my bathong, listone bathong, phansi nasi. Zoom it.
More than what we think, because come home especially girl children, I took the balloon somewhere else. Yes, problem. The flow. On Talwan. You have a problem. That's true. I will to the comments of it. We took the Why Talwan? Keep it up of it. If you shake them, whether Mawana or opportunity or not.
Guys, I'm addicted to the markets. I can't even I can't even log off the markets, bro. Yo, it's taking time for me to get out. Bah. Okay, so now this SMT Shandis US30 is now coming in. But anyway, let me switch off, guys. I'm gonna end up pressing a button. That's what I'm like. That's what I don't like. Is this nigga? That's the is that one like? It's very drrr.
And when it's cold, you go like.
Drrr. It's very drrr. You cough. Let me leave. Let me leave, guys. Yo, I'll see the markets tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll come early in the office and then prepare for CPI. I'm not gonna trade CPI. I don't trade news. I'm not a news trade. I'm not a fundamental trade. So I'm gonna get in after CPI. I'm gonna get in after CPI. And yeah, man. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm out.